Hey folks, this is Vince with Ads Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly review Skid Cities. It's important to stress that what you're looking at here is a pre-early access build. I don't have an exact date as to when it will be released, but from my understanding, it should be on or around February 25th, 2021. It goes without saying that everything that you're about to see here, including this review, is subject to change. So what is Skid Cities? Well, it is a cyberpunk city building game. If you've ever played a game like City Skylines or Sim City, you'll be somewhat familiar with this one, in the sense that you'll be able to zone out residential zones and workplaces and the like, and get people to work. You'll have to worry about things like unemployment, keeping people happy, and so on. So, fairly typical city builder game. And I gotta say, based on what I've played so far, I think I'm liking it, although there are a couple of things that really irk me about it right now. I did say this was pre-early access, but I'm hoping that the developer can take some of these criticisms and, improve upon the game. So let's go into things that I like about the game. Well, you'll be able to build across multiple levels. So for example, there's the ground level and you can build structures on it like you would in, say, SimCity. And then you can actually go underground or above ground. So if you want to create this underground environment, you can. Like if you want to build all of your structures underground, you can totally do that. To be honest though, it takes a little getting used to the way everything looks. Like there is this one building under infrastructure. It's called the vertical road, and whenever you place it and you go underground, you just see this giant what looks like pole sticking up, and you're like, okay, so wait a minute, where does the road actually start for the underground level? And I'm like, oh, it's at the very base slash bottom of the pole. It took me a minute to figure that out. But once I got that, I was on my way. So it became a little disorienting. It would have been nice to have some kind of clear indicator as to, okay, this is the base of the vertical road for this level. Let's highlight it in some way, or let's make it pop in some way so that the user knows that this is where you connect your horizontal roads once you switch back to those. So I would have liked some sort of indicator there for just UI purposes. Speaking of UI, another issue that I have is that information can be a little difficult for me to find or to understand. For example, there is a city graphs tab on the bottom left-hand corner that you can click on, and all of that is good. It has things like water or toxic waste, corporate jobs, androids, rogue androids, street crime, dissidents, public augmentation, factories and offices. So it'll give you different categories and numbers for whatever it is you have. But a lot of the buildings in this game have an area of effect, so you have to make sure that you're covering everything. Now, there are data layers as well that you can toggle on or off to see where you're lacking in certain areas. So the one area gives you the entire number of things that you're producing for that thing. And then the data layers will help you determine, okay, I'm strong in this area but weak in this area, so I need to add some there. What bothers me about the City Graphs tab is that both the positive and negative data topics are either green or red. Like, for example, you've got, say, water. That's a positive thing. Everyone wants water, right? So it says here that I've got, say, 1,700 water. That's good. I want positive water. That's good. But then I go down to unrest. I've got 20,000 people unrest, or 20,000 unrest. Now that's represented by a green number. So I'm like, well, it makes more sense in my head to represent the positive things that I want to track as a green number. And let's say that I do have unrest, or I do have rogue androids. I would think that that should be displayed in a red number to indicate that there is a problem there. Having 20,000 unrest is probably a bad thing. Having 6,000 rogue androids is probably a bad thing. So why it's represented as a green number, just because it's not negative, just because it's a positive number, it should not be represented as a green value, because that's not positive. That's not good at all. When I look at this graph chart with all the numbers, I'm like, well, everything looks good. Everything's in green. That means everything's hunky-dory. Nope. Some of these topics are actually bad. So I would have liked a better implementation or better graphical displays to, like, okay, I want a list of things that are good that should be in the positive, and then I want a list of the bad things on a separate area so that I know what I need to work on, things that could be detrimental to my city. I think better representing the data that way would go a long way to getting a better handle on your city as it's developing. And in my opinion, that's the way to go. Now, there isn't an RCI meter like there is in SimCity. An RCI meter being just a graph. R, residential, C, commercial, I, industrial. If the bar is above the R or above the C or above the I, there's a demand for it. If it's below those letters, then there's no demand for it right now. Instead, you've got this population tab, which it just says demand plus 750 or unemployment minus 52%. And again, that can be a little misleading because it says poor residential demand green number plus 750. Again, to me, green means good. So that's not actually the case. In this case, people want to move into my town. So maybe, I don't know if the green number is really necessary there. It's not neither a good or bad number. It just means that, more people could afford to come in and fill up my city. Unemployment says negative 52%. That's a white number. So why that's white and demand is green number again. So again, there's some weird things going on with the data here that it's displayed in a manner that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So again, I'm looking for better ways to manage that. Now, aside from the UI and aside from the data and trying to understand all of that, like I said, I do love the fact that you can go up or down with vertical roads. That's really cool. There are different types of zone densities, like there's poor and rich residential zoning, so you can zone for various types. The rich residential, for example, takes more maintenance, whereas poor is free maintenance. There's factories and office zoning, so there's factories for the poor and corporate zoning for the rich people. Then you've got commercial zoning, which is not available in early access right now. You've got services, like you've got water that you have to worry about, and what's cool is you can put like the filtration system structures on the level below your city and then run the sewer that way. And you do that automatically already in City Skylines and SimCity. The game just automatically like builds underground for you. So it's kind of similar, but this is more of a manual approach. You can put the pipes on the surface, you can put the pipes above. It gives you a little bit more control that way. But still, it can be a pain because the game does not build over if something's already there. Like, let's say that you're building, you're zoning for residential in a large rectangle. If there's anything in the way, it will not build. So you have to build around it. In City Skylines, it would just automatically build around the objects that were already there. So that's just another side complaint that I have. But you'll have to worry about, like, wasteland. You'll have to build silos and waste pits. For androids, there's an android center, and there's various sizes to encompass the different areas it covers. There's like parks and trees that you can put down. Public augmentation is another thing that you have to worry about. Again, these are like for services. In City Skylines and SimCity, it's like entertainment and police stations and fire stations and hospitals and all that. Well, in this game, it's a little different. Again, it's more cyberpunk themed. There's security cameras that you can put down to curb crime, like you can put cameras in the street. That's all good. And then there are wonders that I've not gotten into yet. There's a career mode, sandbox, there's a tutorial, though the tutorial did not cover everything I needed to know, so I've just been sort of messing with the game and trying to get a handle on it. Based on what I've played so far, it's not bad. Again, I think it definitely needs touched up. It needs to be polished, but again, this is pre-early access. It stands to reason. It's not as good as City Skylines right now, but my hope is that someday it will. I think it has the potential to do so, assuming the developer keeps working on this. If you guys haven't already, subscribed to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.